people in the chat had their vacations. This is awesome. So, oh, went off-roading every 3 weeks and camping. Cool. So yeah, that's a great reminder for us to have a vacation, to have some breaks and enjoy summer. Basically, I haven't had a vacation yet too, but we will see. All right. So let's get started with the topic. Today we will be talking about 12 laws of effective cold outreach. Basically, I will be sharing everything I have learned during my journey as an SDR, SDR manager, SDR leader. So all about how to make like an effective cold outreach. So I'm a growth leader at Reply. My name is Vlad. I'm an SDR, as growth leader with SDR's background. I have spent almost 6 years researching everything starting from lead generation, list building, enrichment, cold outreach, templates, sequencing, email templates, subject lines, data back insights on effective cold outreach. So I will be trying to share everything I know about effective cold outreach. And here's what we will cover today. We will talk about 12 principles or laws of a successful cold outreach. I will be sharing typical mistakes to avoid, data-backed insights on effective cold emails. I will share an enormous amount of useful content, lots of links. I will send the presentation. Everything will be shareable, so you should enjoy this amount of content. Then I will share cold outreach checklist. So that's why I would suggest you to stay with us till the end. And then I will have a challenge for you. That's going to be interesting as well. So let's get started. And more importantly, we're recording this webinar. We will share everything, basically recording, slides, documents, links. You will have access to all materials after this webinar. So law number one is know your ICP. What I have seen lots of times that they start an outreach without having a clearly defined ideal customer profile. In my reality, there are 2 dimensions of ideal customer profile. It's an ideal company profile and it's ideal buyer profile. So these are 2 separate categories, and we need to analyze them separately. So when it comes to ideal company profile, so we should think about these like tiers or tires, right? We should think about these tiers, ideal company profile tiers, and then we should always follow Pareto principle. Yeah, you should focus on tier 1 accounts, then tier 2 accounts, and then everything else. Tier 1 should your SDRs, your salespeople, you as a team your marketing team, your customer success, like the whole revenue organization should focus on this precisely. And tier 1 accounts is basically, so you can find 20% of accounts of customers, users that will generate 80% of revenue. We know this audience for us is basically SaaS companies. 20% of companies can generate us 50% of revenue, 50 to 70, sometimes 80% of revenue. So you need to define this audience, tier 1 account. Then everything else gonna be tier 2. Then so you can automate your cold outreach here, and then everything else you can play around with these audiences, with these companies, but typically it's so hard to get replies there because it's not your ideal profile, right? There is no product market fit or whatever you call it, right? So that's hard. So you as a salesperson, as an SDR or as an organization should focus on the best customers you have. Then you should clearly define your ideal buyer profile. There are 3 personas here: decision makers, evaluators, and influencers. In our case, decision makers, the VP of sales, typically is the person that signs documents, that approves purchases of new software, new tools. Then evaluator and SDR leader, this person will try product competitors. They will like compare all costs and pros, right? An influencer, just an SDR, an entry-level person that can influence the decision-making process. So as you can see here, we have lots of personas here, ideal buyer profiles here, because sometimes they use different job titles, and you have to build this list for your SDRs, and they will thank you later because it will help them with list building. So that's why it's so important to have this spreadsheet. And law number two is data and emails. So here's an example of my sequence. The most recent one I launched back in June. It's awful. I'll be honest here. It's awful. It's here's a 14% bounce rate, and here's what happened. I used our product reply data, and I forgot to filter out contacts that have in-wallet or unknown emails. And that's why I just forgot about this, and I added everyone to my sequence, and that's why it happened. So when you use data products, I won't name them on this call, but you know them, big ones, they typically, then when you use filters based on ideal company profile and buyer persona, right? You combine these data points as filters for your search, for your list building process, right? And when you use those filters, there is a chance you will add an outdated contacts to your sequence. As a result, you will get higher bounce rate. You will have lots of issues with deliverability in the future, with spam, etc. So studies say that 30% of company data becomes outdated every year for a variety of reasons. The thing is, these data providers, including like lots of them, typically they update their databases maybe every month or maybe quarter. And within these time frames, there's a huge chance that someone changes their company, their position, etc. So that's why I kind of highly recommend to rely on another approach: data plus email finders. So you can use Sales Navigator. You can use the same filters, let's say industry, company size, location, etc., and then use email finders. And they will find you contacts information in real time. So that's how you can decrease chances of getting bounces, of getting outdated contacts, and you will have fewer emails like this one. Hey, I'm no longer with the company, please contact someone else. So that's the reason I got these emails, because lots of people changed their roles, their companies. So that's why I suggest to follow this approach, use SalesNav plus email finders rather than data providers. Here's my data workflow. Typically, I start and I learn my SDRs to focus on ideal company profile, then ideal buyer profile. Then I ask them, use Sales Navigator, then use email finder. In our case, it's Reply Chrome extension. Then download everything to a spreadsheet. Then double check email statuses, then like verify emails, remove in-wallet or unknown emails, and then add this list to a list cleaning process. There is like I would say an extensive approach here. You can use Clearbit Connect or named email extensions to try find additional emails, but this is time-consuming and manual process, so you can skip this. Okay, that was number 2. Let me check the chat. Feel free to use the Q&A section. I will check the Q&A from time to time and the comments and the chat section. So yeah, feel free to ask question there. So is that your recommended data workflow? Yep, this is my recommended data workflow. I have been using it like for years, and I would say typically you will have higher open rates and reply rates because you get real-time data from LinkedIn. So yeah, and when you read, it's not a typical use case, but when you read some testimonials about data providers, you will get, hey, I have a huge bounce rate. Why? Because like employees changes companies, and data providers, they can't update all these updates, all these changes in real time. It's almost impossible, I think. What's the volume of the new leads, 1 SDRs per day using this flow? Typically, it's 200 per day. I do the same with LinkedIn as well, filter people. Wow, cool. What's this reply validation? It's a feature. In reply, you can validate, double check email status in real time. Follow up to their question. Okay, let's move on. And law number 3. Okay. And great news, I collected the list of 120 email finders. There is a link here, you can check it, and you can play around with all of these data providers and email finders. You will have some fun, I think. And bonus content, I would suggest you to give it for reply data, and of course, reply email finders, which is a preferable way for me to collect data about your prospects, because it's going to be more accurate. Number 3 is check contact lists. So when you grabbed information about prospects from LinkedIn or data providers, or maybe you purchase list, or maybe you ask someone to like put the list together, etc. There's a huge chance there are some data errors. So here's what I suggest. Maybe if you an SDR in a huge organization, ask your sales ops to help with list cleaning process. If you're like in smaller company, typically they don't have sales ops. Ask your tech team to help you with some spreadsheet formulas, or maybe some internal tools that will help you run contact checklist, like run contacts validation at scale, so they can fix issues with first name, with company names. They can remove some kind of suffixes, etc. They can capitalize first name. They can remove emojis, because maybe you've noticed lots of people use emojis on LinkedIn. So they do this because when you scrap information from LinkedIn and add to a sequence, this contact to a sequence right away, you will send, and then you use first name variable, right? And you send hi John with emoji, whatever it is. And this is clearly, it's automated approach, right? So that's why I suggest to add this list cleaning procedure workflow to your sales development process, list building process. And as you can see, here's an example. I download the list of contacts and I scrapped some contacts from LinkedIn. As you can see here, you definitely need to remove those inks. You definitely need to remove these descriptions, because that's how they know you automated your cold outreach. Number 4 is improve subject lines. As you can see here, this is like so long subject line, because I opened it on my mobile phone, and as you can see here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words, and my name is basically shortened because there is no space, right? And so yeah, and I don't know what's next there, right? I understand this is my first name, but probably it won't help, right? I'm just guessing here. So I will suggest to stick to a shorter subject line. There are a bunch of things we can improve about subject lines, but again, probably rule number 1 here, law number 1 here, is to keep your subject lines short and mobile friendly. By the way, do you know what I would also update here? I would also like name this image properly. Like it can be it's a storefront of your email. You can say something like a proposal, or maybe, I don't know, my company name, or whatever it is. But because in this case, this is just like something random, but you can personalize it as well. So here's my perfect subject line. I have been using it for years, and it always helped me generate something between 60 to 80% in open rate. It's like their company names, there's these curly brackets, and then my company name. So for example, Google brackets reply.io, or for example, reply for Google. It's simple, it's short, and probably they will open it because they don't understand what's inside, right? Maybe it's a partnership proposal, or maybe it's integration proposal, or maybe it's customer, or etc. It's just so simple yet effective subject line. So I'm keep recommending it on every webinar or chats with my friends. So yeah, this is my perfect subject line. And here's a checklist you can share with your SDRs or salespeople. 1 to 5 words, mobile friendly, use any case, but not a lowercase. Do not use caps lock subject lines unless it's an email from, I don't know, from your tax consultant or etc. You can use numbers as social proof. Subject line is a short version of an email. Do not use these tricky and forward. Don't send empty subject lines. Avoid question marks, or more importantly, exclamation mark. No catchy, tricky words at all. Some words might decrease the open rate. For example, quick question. I saw lots of SDRs enjoy the subject line, but data says on average, they generate fewer opens. Avoid spam words like, I don't know, free, etc. Always A/B test. You can just A/B test subject line, right, in your sales engagement platform. And what's more important, timing and relevance is super important, because when they sleep, it's almost impossible to get an open, right? And when they check their inbox in the morning, your email somewhere below the list. All right, so let me check. How do I download list from LinkedIn? Oh, well, you can use lots of email finders, a bunch of them. Can you personalize with variables and image name with reply? A great question. If you add this an attachment, probably no, but if you add it as like a URL, probably yeah, it will work. What was the subject line? Okay, let me get back to you. Here's company names and curly brackets and your company name. In my case, it's something like Google/reply.io. For picture links, I would like to build the HTML, so I would. Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. Bonus content. Here's 4 pieces of useful content. Number 1, there's a presentation on data-backed insights on effective cold emails and subject lines, tons of examples, tons of words to avoid, etc. Then we have a webinar on effective how to write better subject lines, just purely on subject lines. And then we have a PDF of that contains 80 top performing like subject lines. What's next? Rule number 5 is adjust email length. It's super important. Here's why. On average, people spend approximately 11 to 14 minutes reading your brand emails. It's brand emails. It's typically they analyze marketing emails, but I guess sales email, cold outreach email is kind of brand email, right? And then when we given this fact, like 11 seconds, 13 seconds, whatever it is, and then when we check how fast people read words within this 13 seconds time span, it says that they can read like 50 words on average. if it's someone really fast who like read really fast, they can read 100 words. So what this means that your emails should be like really short, something between 50 to 100 words, just given this time span, right? And you know what? It clearly correlates with our data-backed analysis at Reply. We analyzed millions of cold emails sent through Reply, and here's data. Here's length of cold emails, and here's an average reply rate. And data says that emails that contain approximately 50 to 70, 80 words generate more replies on average. The longer your email is, the fewer replies you get. So that's why it's so important to limit the length of your email templates. Typically, it's something between 70 words. If you can do this, probably 70 to 100, maybe to 120 is an ideal option here. So yeah, length is super important. The same with grades or paragraphs. Here's an example. I have a cold email which contains 1, 2, 3, 4 grades or paragraphs. And data says that on average, emails that contain 2, 3, 4 grades generate more replies on average. Then your reply rate declines. So 2, 3 grades is perfect. As you can see here, I have 4. Probably I can even improve this cold email, for example, somehow. Maybe remove something or compress my wording, etc. So lengths and grades paragraphs are also an important law to have an effective cold outreach. All right, so here's a short break. We have a quick poll for you. Would you like to set up a demo with Reply sales team? Just let us know in the poll. Yes, no, we will try to personalize the demo based on your questions. In the meantime, I will have some water. And while we have this poll for a minute or two, let us know in the chat what topics would you like us to cover next. All about sales. Let us know. I'm super curious to know what's in your mind, what you want us to cover, what topics you want us to have on the next webinar. All right, email personalization, to personalize email using automation at scale. Okay, cool. WhatsApp integration, getting the most. Please cover triggers. I see. First email with or without collaterals. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Timing of email sequences. So I will ask my person behind the scene. Could you please screenshot these questions? In case we won't get the comments, because cool topics to cover. Using AI, okay, cool. How to make prospect clicks on the link, good call interactions. Thank you. Email finder apps. Okay, what else? To anticipate the needs other than LinkedIn. Okay. Sounds great. Thanks for your comments. Cold outreach services based companies versus hard sales. Typically much smaller. Multi-channel outreach. Okay. Sounds good. I see. How to increase replies in cold emails data. Okay, thank you everyone. Let's proceed with the rule number 6. It's fix email mistakes. It's not that big deal, right? But sometimes we make mistakes, and sometimes we can send something unprofessional So in this situation, I will suggest to use something like Grammarly to check your grammar mistakes, wordings, etc. Change the tone of cold emails, etc. And what I also figure out, the ChatGPT can also help you with this. Here's a prompt I typically use. Here's an email, fix mistakes here only, for example. And then it generates me an updated version of an email without mistakes. As a non-native English speaker, it's so important because that's how I can check places I made mistakes, right? So fix email mistakes is to sound more professional. Number 7 is super simple as well, but I will call this law or rule change CTA. Instead of here's an email I got a few days ago, it's just a CTA, just two, as you can see here, 2 lines. If you are struggling to build a high quality pipeline for your sales team, I would like to dive further into our services at your convenience. Feel free to add time on your calendar, on my calendar here. Oh, wow. And I realized it's so long. Why you spend 2 sentences just for something simple? I would suggest to experiment with CTAs and try something like this. Where's the conversation? Is this something relevant for you? Just 5 words, and that's it. And so I suggest to change some kind of to change these sales CTAs into something we call soft CTAs, right? I'm not asking about their time right now. I'm not asking about a demo or chat right away. I'm just trying to reveal their curiosity. And what I've noticed, this approach works better than like hard, rough sales CTA. Just let's talk. Here's my calendar, book a call. What we've noticed is soft CTAs on average work better. Here's a few examples. Worth a chat sometime next week. Would you find this kind of solution useful? If so, let's talk. Open to learning a bit more. Is this worth exploring? Worth a conversation? So these soft CTAs should be treated as conversation starters, right? And data from Reply, from Lavender, from other providers says that soft CTA typically perform better than sales CTAs, just like this one. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all, but this one is worth trying. And when it comes to CTAs and email templates, questions is also important. Sometimes I get like cold emails myself, and sometimes I see that they use multiple questions. They're asking me a few things. Check this, click a link here, want to talk, like 3 CTAs, like calls to action at once. This is crazy, right? The main goal of cold outreach is to reveal interest and just like funnel your prospect's leads to answer, to perform only one action, just to have one action, like click a link, download something, reply back, just one CTA, so important. And it totally makes sense because as you can see here, the more questions you add to your email, the fewer replies you get on average. The best, of course, the best option here is to ask 0 questions, but of course we need to have at least one sometimes. So don't ask multiple questions. Number 8 is add relevancy. When we started the webinar, law number 1 was identify your ideal company profile and your ideal buyer profile. So when you have this, like location, industry, size, keywords, revenue, like year founded on average, you identify your buyer profiles, decision makers, influencers, evaluators, then you can start using these data points for your LinkedIn search or your data email provider search and then just add another layer to this this like cold outreach game, just its intent layer. In my opinion, there is no silver bullets. There are a bunch of intent signals, and every company, every business can rely on different intent signals, like approaches. Here's a few examples, like funding, mention keywords on LinkedIn, new key hires, new product launches, department growth, company growth, technographics they use, dark funnel, G2 visits. And we at Reply tried some of them, like reveal. We know what accounts visit our website. We track companies or that mention specific keywords on social media, websites, forums, etc. Text signals. We can identify companies that use, let's say, Salesforce as their CRM. Then company growth. For example, when they hire new SDRs or new salespeople, when they're growing rapidly, or some like other signals. It's, of course, they all are specific to your use case and to your services, to your business, etc. Bonus content here, we have built a list of 800 plus sales tools. They all are categorized based on sales process stage, and we have approximately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 categories for intent-based outreach. The link is here, sales.reply.io. Then check these categories, and you will find, let's say, at least 100 tools for intent-based list building and prospecting. Okay, let's move on. Improve templates, important topic here. Typically, cold email templates, they all have a similar structure: greeting, intro, reason for outreach, value proposition, CTA, and then signature. So it's so important to fix and understand this logic behind cold emails and play around with all these snippets and variation. Because, for example, your email could contain just the greeting and reason for outreach, and then CTA, or maybe greeting, intro, and value proposition. So play around with template structures. There is no silver bullet, I would say. Yeah. And here's something I call the cold email Turing test. Here's how you can be sure that this cold email template is like great or cool. Ask yourself these 4 questions. Do I like this email template? Do I really like it? Do I want to see something similar in my inbox? Would I reply if I received a similar email in my inbox? And ask your friend or colleague if she would reply to this email. It's just simple, yes, no. And if you get 2, 3, 4 yes, then probably this cold email will work. This cold email template will work. If not, probably you shouldn't get started with this cold outreach, because probably they won't reply back to this as well, because they will dislike it. They don't want to see something similar in their inbox, and probably they won't write that email template on their own, right? So this is something I ask myself when I create new email templates or new sequences. Of course, this is hard, but it is worth it. And here's a short email templates checklist. They spend 11-15 seconds reading brand emails. Use 50 to 70 words. Keep it mobile friendly. 100 to 120 words max. Lengths and grades are important. Use 1 question. 0 is better. Use soft interest-based CTAs. Avoid links, images, attachments for the first email. No buzzwords, tricky words. Don't use something like "we are number 1," "we are the best in class," "we are all in one." Like, just avoid these words. Just say, we are a product for something. Avoid spam words, because again, you can be the best for a specific industry. You can be the best for a specific persona, segment, industry, right? You can't be the best for everyone, unfortunately. Or maybe that's how it works. Avoid spam words. Always have a reason for outreach. You can use intent signals as a reason for outreach. I saw you hiring SDRs. I noticed you use Salesforce as CRM. Noticed you hired 10 people in the last 2 months, etc. Always A/B test, and timing and relevance are important. Bonus content here, we have built a library of 100 probably great email templates. Not all of them have passed the Turing test, but lots of them will help you generate great or decent results. Number 10, law number 10 is follow-up and timing. We analyzed data a few years ago, and we can say that on average, people respond to emails from 7 a.m. to like 12 a.m. So that's when you want to send your first emails. You want to grab their attention during these business hours. Then your chances are 2x like smaller in comparison to the top performing hours. And the same with days. On average, they reply on Monday better than Thursday, then Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Sunday. Sometimes they check inboxes in the evening. On Sunday is preparing for the next week. So yeah, I would suggest it's not that big deal, but I will adjust step number 1 based on the best performing days. Email deliverability. If you like checked all laws we discussed previously, then if you get open rate, if you get like less than 30% open rate, then it's a bad result, like really bad. Then probably your emails go to spam. 30–50% is like okay, and 50% is great result. So that's what happened with me a few weeks ago. I ignored my own loss. I ignored my own process, and my emails went to spam. Yeah, that was, oh well, that was so bad sequence. But again, it happened. So probably my emails go to spam. For this reason, we have prepared a deliverability list checklist for you, a bunch of things that can help you improve your email deliverability. We will share this list because the thing is that the devil is in the detail. There are a bunch of things we need to like tick before sending huge cold outreach sequences, campaigns, starting from, let's say, 200, 500 contacts in our campaign. So the devil is in the detail, and we need to check all these things before we hit start the sequence. Okay, poll number 2. Do you consider cold outreach as an art or a science? So let us know. Okay, both. Okay, good. Both, same. So the answer is okay. It's more science than art. Okay, great. Cool. We didn't add both option intentionally because this will be more obvious here. But I agree, it's both. In reality, it's both art and science. So that's why, as a science, I will suggest stop guessing, stop relying on the sixth sense, just start analyzing everything, like subject lines, wording, templates, CTAs, value proposition, play around with all these kind of things. And this will be a science part of sales development, cold outreach, right? And when it comes to art, of course, it's again just a template itself. It's intent, it's creativity, it's images. For example, one of our campaigns included personalized images. Again, it's just kind of art because someone had to create these personalized images based on their image, logo, their brand colors, etc. So it's gonna be science and art. All right, so here's cold outreach checklist. We will send the link. You will get access to a huge checklist here. When you start your sequences, ask your salespeople to at least try to get to 70% of all these points to be checked. That's how I can guarantee you will get better results. So yeah, we will send this, and here's the challenge for you. Copy our cold outreach checklist. Try to implement these 12 laws of effective cold outreach if you haven't given it a try yet. Tick at least 70 to 80% of all the checkboxes in the checklist. Try this new cold outreach playbook, and if you get great results, just feel free to send me before and after results via LinkedIn. Oops, here's a mistake. A LinkedIn email. Yeah, we'll be happy to discuss your results. I think, yeah, it will definitely work for you. Q&A. Okay. We have a few more minutes. Let me check the Q&A. Isn't there 50 email limits for sales now? I guess it's more, 60 to 70, but when they accept email, you get your credit back. So when you target your audience and when they reply to your emails, then no problem, you can scale it. What happens when you have a high bounce rate? Well, I can't use bad words here, but I would say your cold outreach is done. Your domain reputation is broken. Your emails, even new ones, will get to the spam, and then you need to buy new cold domains, warm them up, create new inboxes, pay for that, and start your cold outreach from the beginning. So we suggest to stick to 3 to 6% bounce rate. This is like a safe zone, I would say. So yeah, don't add like wrong emails to your sequences. Yeah, we'll share everything. Would using Zoom in for contact accuracy score be sufficient enough, or would you recommend using email validators on top of that? Well, I'm not a Zoom in for customer. I don't know how their product work, unfortunately, so I can't answer that question. But yeah, I will suggest to try different email verification products, because the issue nowadays is we catch all emails, something they call unknown status. When you add these contacts, there is a chance this is a wallet email, but that could be a catch-all email, and that's how you will generate just this will decrease your domain reputation, because you are sending emails to non-existent email addresses. Best messages for each tool. Okay, didn't get this, sorry. Do you have any information about bullet points? Sorry, didn't get it. Could you please rephrase the question? Okay, let me check the chat again. What's the limit in terms of sending emails per minute? Well, I will suggest to send 1 email per minute. Like, yeah, you should send like on average 1 email per 60 to 90 seconds. Yeah. Yeah. Does reply have an email verification? Yes, we do. Yes, all tools, they have all the like pros and cons, their advantages and disadvantages. It's all about your choices. We use sales now. Okay, that's great. What's average daily sending limit? Per email inbox nowadays, it's safe to say something between 50 to 200 emails per day per inbox. More than that, you will have higher chance to be tracked by Google. Yeah. If again, it's when it comes to brand new emails, it's another factor here is to take into account is inbound outbound emails ratio. So the more inbound emails you get, the more they reply back to your cold emails, the better. So you need to keep this ratio good enough. How do we extract lists from LinkedIn? Is there links? Yes, you can find a YouTube video on our channel on YouTube. We have a video explaining how to do this. We have Google Workspaces. Is there a better host for cold emails? Well, I'm not sure, but we also rely on Google Workspaces as well. It's the easiest way for like sales reps, for DevOps, to manage multiple domains and multiple inboxes. So I will recommend probably Google Workspace plus Namecheap, probably the best domain platform for buying domains. You will need them a lot when it comes to high volume cold outreach. Okay. I'm not sure how to phrase it. I guess a list of information. Do emails with fast information on the list lines work better? Sorry, man. Sorry about that. Yeah, we have an email verification add-on. All right. So probably that's it. We have sent you a bunch of links. Here's my Linktree account. You can happy to connect with you on LinkedIn and have a chat about cold outreach, prospecting, list building, data providers, sales tools, B2B sales tools, and AI. So yeah, let's stay in touch. Happy to connect with you and as always, thank you. Thank you for staying with us for this 1 hour. Have a great day. Have a great